All right, welcome guys to the NBA live stream. We only got one game to go over today. Be live for about 20 minutes because, again, on the show and slates, there's not a ton to talk about really. Obviously, we got the hard news to go over here. That definitely changes the slate from when I made my video last night. So before we get into that, we can take a look at the news. Again, James Harden will play. You know, it just all comes down to how healthy do you think he is. He's obviously a risky option today because there's a decent chance he could re-aggravate that hamstring injury. We saw it happen to Anthony Davis, right? We don't know exactly how healthy he is, but I think it makes him a good tournament play. So, again, this slate, I will definitely be if I was a player that played a ton of money every single day, I would take this slate off. It just, in my opinion, not worth it because you cashing is going to come down to guessing right on the Harden injury. Like, you guess right and you play him, and he plays his normal minutes and smashes. Or you guess right, you fade him, he aggravates that injury. It's just like, I don't want my cashing to come down to it. So I'm just playing for fun. I'm trying to get really different in tournaments in my one lineup, and that's really it. Again, I do not think you should be putting a lot of money on the line for this one. So yeah, it's now it was 4.5. Now it's 1.5 with Harden in a 222 over under. All right, so if you guys are just coming in, if you could hit that like button. Let's see, we're already just about 100 likes or 100 viewers and 31 likes. Appreciate it, guys. And yeah, let's start it off with Milwaukee. Giannis Antetokounmpo now I think is probably the safest spend up. Last night it was definitely Kevin Durant with the assumption that Harden and Kyrie were both out, but again we got the news that Harden went from out to now in. So I think that makes Giannis a little bit safer because now KD's got Harden there. So it is close, though. It is close with Giannis and KD still, but I think Giannis is probably the safest bet up on the board. We know he's going to play over 40 minutes of competitive game. I don't have to spend a lot of time on a guy like Giannis. Again, very, very safe play, going to be popular for good reason. Now, could you make the argument to fade him? Sure, you can. It's definitely risky. If you're fading Giannis, I'm probably playing both Middleton and Drew because if Giannis really struggles, that means Middleton and Drew are stepping up. So that would be the approach I would take if I was building a ton of lineups and setting rules. I'm like, all right, if I don't have Giannis, make sure I have both Middleton and Drew. So yeah, with Middleton and Drew Holiday, I do give the edge to Middleton because his usage has been much higher in this series. He's just been way more aggressive on the offensive end. Drew has been kind of frustrating to watch. He's been standing in the corner a lot. So, yeah, I'll give the edge to Middleton over Drew here. And the fact that, too, again, he's shooting a lot, and he's shot the ball better recent games. Now, Drew Holiday's still in play. I do think he will probably be the lowest owned of the Milwaukee Big Three. 22, 23, and 31 fantasy points the last 3 games. It's not great for a guy of Drew Holiday's talent. We know this is a guy that can go and get you 50 fantasy points. I mean, he was averaging, 45 fantasy points last series against Miami. So I obviously still have some interest in Drew Holiday. He just becomes a little riskier with recent play. Brolo, I just have a hard time prioritizing, right? This is definitely setting up for stars and scrubs build. So the guys in the 6-7K range, it's just kind of cross-offs for me. Now, could Brook Lopez go for 35 to 40? Yeah, it would be in a pretty extreme outlier. You'd probably have to knock down 6-7 threes. It's hard for me to go there. It's also really hard for me to get to PJ Tucker. He had 26 fantasy points last game. Definitely his ceiling. This guy could go out and play 30-plus minutes and go for 5 fantasy points. I mean, we literally saw it 2 games ago. We went for 4 fantasy points. So, I will not be going to PJ Tucker. Also, Pat Connaughton. Ownership might be a little bit inflated. Be careful, right? 4 steals, 2 blocks that last game. Previous games, 7, 4, 8 fantasy points. The floor is single digits with Pat Connaughton, and there's a chance if he doesn't play well, we might only get about 15 minutes from him. So don't love him at that price. Forbes, it's still a price point where it's like, okay, I'm okay taking a shot on him. If he does shoot well, I think there's a chance he could play over 20 minutes. He played 22 and 22 the first couple games in the series. Minutes been trending down. Again, though, if he gets hot, he can go out and get you 25 to 30 fantasy points if he's shooting really well. So I think he's at least in consideration because if he shoots the ball well, he will get extended. And then Bobby Portis is one of the value guys I do like. I know we're not going to get a ton of minutes, but Portis is a good point per minute guy that should get around 12 to 15 minutes. I think is a pretty fair guess. 12 in back-to-back games. Maybe if Brook Lopez gets in some foul trouble, we might see a little bit more. So I think Portis is one of the value guys you can consider. And then that's really it, right? Because Teague's probably not going to play. Thonsis might get a minute or two, but not enough to really consider him on the showdown. On the Brooklyn side, so again, the tough question is KD versus Harden. You could play both. I think KD is the much safer option because, again, he's not dealing with the injury. Now, Harden is the high-risk, high-reward play. It comes down to how healthy do you think he really is. I think he's a good tournament play because there's a decent chance again he aggravates that injury, but there's also a chance he plays 44 minutes and smashes at lower ownership, right? So I like Harden for GPPs. Just comes down to, again, how healthy do you really think he is? And again, you could definitely play both Harden and KD together. You can play Harden, KD, and Giannis too. Like that's a viable build, and then 3 value plays. So I think that's probably going to be one of the chalkier builds. Is just the top 3 guys in Harden, KD, and Giannis. Probably Giannis or KD and the captain, and then 3 values. Right. That's going to be very, very popular. Again, for me, I'm trying to get different. I'm playing this more for fun. I'm not putting a ton of money on the line, so I'm trying to get. I'm leaving some salary on the table, trying to get different, taking some chances. There's absolutely no way I will ever pay 8.4K for Joe Harris, so we can just move on there. Blake Griffin, last night was looking like a pretty solid play. Now with Harden in, he definitely takes a step back usage-wise. I think we get around 30 minutes from him. He's playable, but it's a price point thing, right? I think, like I said, stars and scrubs, it's hard for me to prioritize Blake Griffin at almost 7K. Same thing with Bruce Brown, right? These guys are just more contrarian options because the safest build is you pick 3, maybe even 4 stars, and then just go value. I'm not getting to Shamet now either with Harden in. Again, he probably loses a couple minutes. There's no way I'm paying 5-6 for him. Mike James was going to be a popular play if Harden was out. Now, if you think Harden is still really injured, then I'm fine rolling the dice on a guy like Mike James because I think if Harden aggravates that injury, Mike James probably comes in. He started the second half last game with no Kyrie Irving. So James is still viable, but definitely takes a step back with Harden in. I think Jeff Green is one of the safer values in the board. He played 27 minutes last game. I think we get around 25-ish, maybe a little bit more. A decent point per guy, kind of a do-it-all guy, decent defender. Yeah, I like Jeff Green a good amount here for value. I think Claxton's also going to be pretty popular, but again, you need kind of a couple of these value guys to get those stars in. So Claxton, we probably get somewhere around 12 to 14 minutes. Like Bobby Portis, a good point per guy, so definitely in consideration for me. And that is really it. Like Tyler Johnson might play a couple minutes here, again, depending on James Harden's health. He really hasn't been in the main rotation so far in this series. He was last series. He played a little bit of the backup point. It's a super high risk, high reward play, but there is a way he gets minutes in this game, and then that's it, right? I mean, before the series started, they hinted at DeAndre Jordan playing, but he has not played yet. Again, weird stuff can happen, right? You can get like severe foul trouble on Blake and Claxton, and then maybe DeAndre has to play, but you're getting into like you need a lot of weird stuff for Jordan to become playable. Again, with him getting DNPs every single game so far this series. So that's where I'm at, guys, for the player-by-player breakdown. Again, roster construction, definitely stars and scrubs. I don't want to go balanced, obviously. I think you guys know that. And, yeah, let's see. Do we have any more Harden news? And we know he's playing. I haven't seen anything of a minutes limit. I think they're just going to monitor him. And, yeah, he's starting with Brown, Joe Harris, Durant, and Blake Griffin. All right, so that's kind of where I'm at, guys. Leave some questions in the chat. I'll be on for another 10 minutes or so. Appreciate the support. As always, we're at basically 200 viewers for a Showdown slate. Appreciate it, guys. Again, if you're just coming in, hit that like button. We're at 53 likes. Maybe try to get to 70 before the end of the show. And let's see what we got. Harden getting hurt in the first possession again. Possible, right? Definitely possible. Yep, Drew. Yeah, Drew. Potential foul trouble, too. It's Bruce Brown time. Tucker 50 bomb. Cheap play besides Claxton. I mean, we went over a couple guys, right? You got Portis. You have Mike James. You have Jeff Green. Forbes. That's kind of what you're looking for. KD captains Giannis, Jeff Green, Claxton, Holiday, and Mike James. A little bit contrarian, but that's good with me. Again, Holiday is probably the riskiest of the big three there for Milwaukee. Connaughton and Mike James. I think I'd rather take the shot on Mike James. He's a better offensive player than Pat Connaughton. But that kind of, again, comes down to how healthy James Harden is on the minutes there for Mike James. Joe Harris, same price as Jeff Green. Then that's pretty close. Then maybe an edge to Harris, but Portis or Claxton. I think that's really comes down to a coin flip. I guess straight up, maybe a small lean to Portis, but I think it's basically 50-50 with those two. Yeah, like Portis or Forbes. I like guys that are not scoring dependent that can do it in different ways. So I would give the edge to Portis, but that doesn't mean Forbes can't come out and hit 4 or 5 threes and then he's going to be in the winning lineup. Yeah, I mean, I'm just playing for fun. So, I mean, I'm taking a shot on Harden, the captain. I'm not playing a lot of money. I'm just more enjoying this one. You should not be putting a lot of money on this slate. Captain Harden with KD, Giannis, Green, Claxton, and Portis. Yeah, that's going to be a very popular build. Harden and captain probably a little bit less, but like KD or Giannis in the captain spot with like Green, Claxton, Portis, like that's going to be a very, very popular build. Captain Giannis with Durant, Harden. Yep, exactly. So like that's going to be the build. That's going to be very, very popular. The top 3 stars and then 3 value plays. Not really. Shamit's too pricey there. Yeah, it doesn't make it too fun for me, right? Because it's going to come down to cashing is going to come down to guessing right in Harden, and I don't want my money to come down to a 50-50 injury. Blowout probability. I mean, it's a 1.5 point spread, so I'm not playing for any blowouts. If it happens, it happens. There's been blowouts basically every game so far this series, but I trust Vegas, and yeah, I'm not playing for any blowouts. Risk might be worth it for Harden. Yeah, he's got 70 fantasy point upside, so I like rolling the dice on Harden. I mean, I told you what I'm doing. I'm playing him the captain. I'm just hoping he can stay healthy because I do think he'll be lower owned than Giannis and KD for sure. I don't know what his ownership's going to be exactly. Bruce Brown won't play scared. It's a price point thing with Bruce Brown, right? He's at 6'2". It's hard to prioritize him in a showdown slate. Those guys in the 6-7K range are just really hard to get to, right? They're too close in price to guys like Middleton, Drew Holiday. They just have way more upside. And the roster construction with one of those 6 to 7K guys in your build just makes it really, really difficult, right? So then you can't get 3 stars, then you get 2 and 1 mid-range guy, and then maybe 1 upgraded mid-range guy. I mean, you don't really want that. KD, Giannis, Middleton, Drew. Yeah, obviously that would be a good build. Strip club game for Harden, yeah. No, again, I think Harden has a lot of upside if he can stay healthy, right? I mean, look at his recent games. Look at the recent games that Harden played. He had like 60, 70 fantasy point games, 75, 63, 70. I mean, if he plays 40 minutes tonight, Harden's probably going to be in the winning lineup. I really don't see a way Harden's not in the winning lineup if he plays 40 minutes. Good question. Good question. I wish I knew with Harden's health. Yeah. I don't know how healthy he is. Early exit, definitely possible. I would say it's probably close to 50-50 that he leaves the game early. When we saw it happen with AD right away. We don't know how healthy he is. Hamstrings are always tough. He's going to try to gut it out, but yeah, I mean, again, it's tough, right? Drew locking him up. Yeah, Drew's a decent defender, but I wouldn't avoid Harden because of that. I would avoid Harden because of the hammy, not because of Drew defense. That's just that captain. Hello. Yeah, he might play a minute or two. We've seen him come out like the end of quarters, like that, right before the half, where he'll come in for a defensive possession. So like Giannis doesn't get another foul, or like Middleton doesn't get another foul. We've seen that actually. So like he might play a minute or two. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not avoiding Harden because of Drew defense. I'm not. I mean, Drew is a good defender, but I'm not going to avoid Harden because of that. If you fade Harden, would it make sense to put in Mike James? Yeah, I think so. I do. I think that's a good point because I think if Harden does leave early, then Mike James is probably coming in for him. And Mike James is actually a guy that can score the ball. So that is a good point. If you do fade Harden, well, first, if you're fading Harden, I think I'm putting Kevin Durant in the captain. First, I'm putting Kevin Durant in the captain. Second, I'm probably playing a guy like Mike James who comes in for Harden if he aggravates that injury. So good point, yeah. I think if you're playing for that Harden fade and thinking he aggravates an injury, I play KD in the captain and I play Mike James probably. Forbes or Connaughton? Ownership-wise, I'll go Forbes because Connaughton had the big game last game, but that's basically a toss-up. Favorite cereal? I haven't had cereal in so long. Probably Lucky Charms or Frosted Flakes, but man, I don't know the last time I had cereal. Middleton, Harden, Durant, James, Portis, Claxton. Okay, I think it looks pretty decent. So you do have 4 stars. You have Middleton, the captain, with Harden, Durant. Oh no, 3 stars, Mike James. It's so you're fading Giannis. You have Middleton, the captain. They'll definitely make your lineup different. I'll say that. Content seems like a great pick tonight, 7K. I'm not really on, at least on DraftKings, I'm not really on him. He had 4 steals, 2 blocks. Definitely an outlier performance. He's normally a guy that gets somewhere around 5 to 10 fancy points in about 15 minutes. So Content feels like chasing a little bit. Played Holiday every game this series and hasn't had one great game. Thinking of just playing him no matter what. I get it. Yeah, I mean that's one where it's like if you do fade him and he goes off tonight, you're probably not going to be able to sleep. So I've been in that a lot. I've been in that situation a lot where it's like a guy continues to burn me, but I just keep playing him because I can't deal with the fact that if I fade him, he goes off. I'm just going to lose it. Even if Harden doesn't re-aggravate injury, James will play 25 minutes. I disagree on that. I don't think Mike James plays 25. If Harden plays 40 minutes, Mike James probably gets 15-ish minutes off the bench, maybe a little bit more. But there's still risk in Mike James, right? We saw him he didn't play well last game. They have Bruce Brown. I mean, they can dust off Tyler Johnson. The secondary guys for Brooklyn, they've shown that like the minutes are never secure. Out of these 3, who do you like more? It's Jeff Green by a wide margin over James and Connaughton. Yeah, Jeff Green I think is probably the safest value play on the board. KD and Giannis. Yeah, I think Giannis is a little bit safer right now because Harden's playing. If you think Harden aggravates an injury, I would play KD. Jeff Green in the captain spot. I mean, I think that allows you to get 4 stars if you do that. You can do it. It's obviously very, very contrarian. Bruce Brown or Mike James' salary doesn't matter. Bruce Brown. Thoughts on Kevin Durant, captain with Drew, Middleton, Blake. It's going to make your lineup different. Blake should be low on. Basically, any guy in the 6 to 8K range, if you play him, you're going to have a different lineup than most people. Captain Bruce Brown with Giannis, Harden, KD, Claxton, Portis. I don't think that makes a ton of sense, but hey, you'll have a different lineup. All right, guys, we're coming down. A couple more minutes left. If you have any more questions, throw them in here. I'm hoping we get a good game. That is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping we get a good game and the Bucks win. As you guys know, I bet the Bucks to win it all before the playoffs started. So would be nice if we got a close competitive game because we really haven't besides a one game where we're like 70 points under the total, and that just frustrated me to watch. So hoping we get a good close game and the Bucks win. That would be ideal for me. Bucks and 6. Hoping so. Chocolate bar. I mean, Reese's technically isn't a chocolate bar, but I'll say that. Nobody locking up Harden besides a good game this series. Hopefully, man. I don't think Nash lets Harden play too many minutes. I think if he looks fine, he's going to play 40 minutes. They're just going to monitor it. And if he's struggling out there, then obviously he's probably not going to play a ton. Jeff Green or Mike James, it's Jeff Green for me right now. However, if you think James Harden gets aggravates that hammy, then I'm fine going to Mike James, a little bit different. But Jeff Green, way safer. Yeah, if he's healthy, I think we get 40 minutes from Harden. If he's not, just depends on when he aggravates that injury. So Harden projected for 33 minutes. I would say if he's which he is playing, as long as he doesn't aggravate that injury, he's going to play 40 minutes, would be my guess. Yeah, Harden at captain, it's definitely risky. He's going to play more than that, unless he aggravates injury. But, yeah, if Harden doesn't aggravate the injury, he's going to play normal minutes. He's not going to be limited. Claxton in play? Yeah, because of the price. He's going to be pretty popular, actually, at Claxton. Yeah, Claxton, I think, is a pretty safe value play because of the price point and the fact that he'll play 12 to 14 minutes. All right, guys, last minute questions, or I'm going to get out here. Appreciate you guys coming and checking the on the live stream. LeBron didn't make first team sheet. I'll take a look at those after. Probably because he missed a lot of the second half of the season. Yeah, Claxton over Tucker for price for sure. Claxton's half the price of Tucker. I think could definitely outscore PJ. Trying to avoid Bobby Portis at all costs. You don't have to play Portis. He's going to be decently popular because of the price, but you don't have to play him. All right, guys, that is going to do it for me. I'll be back here tomorrow to break down the 2-game slate. Video up later tonight, live stream tomorrow. And yeah, good luck, guys. Enjoy this game, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for the 2-game slate.